Drift Championship. This is the final round, round 6 at the virtual Drift Mansion, and what a wonderful version it is here in Assetto Corsa. My name is Craig. With me, as always, is Tanner. What's up, dude?
What is happening, Craig? The final round already. Where did the season go? I can't believe it. We're here at the Drift Mansion, which looks fantastic, might I add. Did not expect this as the final track. I'm so excited that we're here. And a very close battle for the championship, so it's really going to be anyone's game here today.
Yeah, absolutely. A super exciting new layout we have here, and we'll pull up today's line map. And as you see there, top right-hand corner of the course is the start. And quite the run-up the drivers have, and a big flick initiation into clip 1, your first outside zone, and a decel into that zone. Drivers should be picking up their throttle as soon as they get to that zone and just laying that hammer down and driving out to clip 2, your next outside zone, and then clip 3, your next one there, and down to clip 4, your first inside clip, drawing a little bit of arc there after crossing that inside clip, and then down into clip 5, your next outside zone, clip 6, all the way across the track there, and then into your next inside clip at clip 7, and then staying a little bit off the right hand side of the track later. Once we get to battles, we want that lead to sort of stay off the right hand side of that track there and off that rumble to give that chase some room on the right hand side of the track for later on, and then a little off throttle moment there before your next outside zone at clip 8, and then down to clip 9, a little downhill there, and then back up over a little hump at clip 10. We've got a little reference point, same as maybe Silverstone, where it's a little outside soft track edge reference point there, and then working your way into that big final outside zone, clip 11, and finishing again a super exciting course. We've got our first group of qualifying loaded in. They're getting their practice in, and a strong group coming up. Daniel Andreev will be the one to kick things off for us. Simon Sandman right after him, his first VDC event. And getting from those judges, that's the last call for their practice. Daniel's at the line, ready to go. And here come those start lights. First run of the day. Daniel, last time he started things off for us, he went crazy. Let's see the big initiation, filling outside zone 1 fantastically, all the way out there to that track edge as we see that white line there. Don't want to go too far past it, as you will catch a piece of that wall. Daniel Andreev on a heater already. Nicely done into 8, going a little wide there past that white line, filling the next outside zone nicely though, grabbing that inside clip. He'll work out to that reference point, a little wide, but he's gonna get out to the last and final zone, fill it all the way, and across that finish line.
Daniel coming out swinging for group 1. And swinging indeed, a 94.2 for Daniel Andreev's first run. But speaking of first runs, well, Simon Sandman at the line, ready for their first run in qualifying ever here with the Virtual Drift Championship. What a track to kind of have your debut on. Let's see what happens. Lights go on and off we go. Initiates in. Good off the initiation through outer zone 1 as he comes up the hill, touches the wall just a little bit, goes past that white line, gets himself sorted for the next outer zone inside clip, transitioning around. And looking good so far here for Simon Sandman. Putting the car where it needs to go. Good through that outer zone right along the edge. That was beautiful through there. Transitioning through the next inside clip, pushing up to that reference point. And making it look easy. Simon Sandman.
Yeah, okay. Simon, again, first run here in the Virtual Drift Championship and showing off 87.2 strong first score on the board for him. Eduardo Alves now up and through the chicane off in his S15 and throwing that thing in, filling outside zone 1 nicely. He'll work up to 2, fill it as well all the way on that track edge. Nicely done here from Eduardo. Good transition, doesn't quite fill that zone in front of the mansion there, and he'll work his way around grabbing that inside clip. And a smooth transition right on that yellow line there as he continues on filling that zone. Last and final transition. Could have been a little tighter to the inside clip. We see him there go a little wide of the reference and work his way through that last and final outside zone.
Yeah, not a bad start there from Eduardo Alves as he comes in and locking his first run in with a 91. It's a very good score to have, but as we've seen this entire season, a 90 might not mean much by the end of the day, as we got William Holloway in that FD RX-7, leaving the line and initiating in. Looking good off of the initiation as he sends it up the hill towards Outer Zone 2, grabbing all of Outer Zone 2 beautifully, keeping it right along that white line through Outer Zone 3, grabbing the inside clip and making the transition work. William Holloway really dialed in with that FD. He comes into the next outer zone, fills it beautifully, sticking right to the yellow line. Only a few more to go. There is the reference point. Push out, get all the way out there and hang it on out there, William Holloway. And let's see what kind of score he pulls.
Done. William made a huge improvement last round as well. So we wait for the final score. 89.7 on the board for William Holloway. Riley Sobush up next in his S15. And Riley, nicely done on the initiation. Does have quite the moment there for outside zone 2, but fills 3 nicely, grabs that inside clip, and a good transition. He'll work his way into outside zone 4 there. Excuse me, 5. Very smooth. Riley going a little bit wide of that zone. Not quite filling that one all the way around it. Leaving it just a little bit early. He'll work his way out there now. All the way up to that track edge and across the finish line. Riley Sobush.
Yeah, Riley not off to a bad start. 86.5. Couple things to clean up in run number 2, but looking solid out there. Ernestus Yakulibis at the line in the S14. Ernestus has been absolutely on a tear through the last few rounds. Always one of the guys that is just insane during battles. And let's see how his first qualifying run is, initiating in up the hill. Looking good through outer zone 1 and 2, drawing a nice line there to outer zone 3, grabbing that inside clip, making the transition work, pushing all the way out right to that white line. And Ernestus here looking dialed in as he's just a little wide for that outer zone 6, but makes up for it through 7. One last transition, one last outer zone. He puts the tires right on the white line and crosses the line for his first run of qualifying.
Yeah, nicely done once again from Ernestus. We'll wait for that score on the board as he drives around the house. I believe we've got one more score to come through. Yep, and a 96.5 on the board. That puts him in the number 1 position. Ernestus Yakubelis. Stanislav Terasol up next in his Ferrari as he works his way through the chicane and down the run-up. Big initiation. A little lazy on picking up that throttle for the first turn, but he's on a good line here through it, grabbing that inside clip. Good transition. He feels that next outside zone just dialed in here on the line and the angle in this big Ferrari, planning it right on that yellow line. He continues on. Last transition here. Little moment there as he works his way past that reference point and continuing on, finishing out his first run.
And not a bad first run indeed there for Stanislav. A 91.8 to start things out for him, so not shabby at all. But like we said, we got to be careful with those 90s, the way this season's been. But we'll see what happens later on. Today is next up. We have Artem Cholkov here in the BMW. Getting through the gate nice and clean. And going for their first run of qualifying, initiating in. Big angle right off of the initiation as he dives up towards outside zone 2 and now to outside zone 3. Very good arc there from Artem Cholkov as he makes the transition through outer zone 4 and 5. Looking very solid here for Artem. Could have been maybe a little closer to the inside clip, but absolutely on it as he comes through the next few outer zones, grabs the inside clip. And that wheel is not moving. It has been dialed in the whole run. A very nice run from Artem Cholkov.
Yeah, it sure was. Artem doing a nice job there for his first run here for the final round. Fighting for that third position. 94.2 on the board. Strong score for Artem. That'll put him in the third position here in Group 1. Darius Ostreka up next in his E92. Big initiation. Picking up that throttle, but also the left foot brake all the way out to outside zone 2 as he works his way through 3. Grabbing that inside clip. Nicely done for 4. Big transition as he works his way out to outside zone 5 and back down for the inside clip. Good transition for that outside zone there. Darius Ostreka locked into this run. Last and final turn here. And across the finish line. Nicely done from Darius. That last and final outside zone might have been the best line so far, I think.
Yeah, it was absolutely dialed in, and the score shows for it. Almost beating out Ernest, but coming with a 96.2. So what a run indeed from Darius Ostreka. As next at the line is Victor Alves in the S15. Ready to do qualifying one more time for this season. Initiating in. Looking good off the initiation. Maybe could have been a bit deeper, but doesn't grab all of outer zone 2. Struggling to get the car out there. Almost fills all of outer zone 3, but makes the inside clip work. A little late on the transition. And not filling all of outer zone 4 either. Victor Alves maybe with a car problem or something going on. Not as dialed in as everybody else has been here so far. As he makes that final transition, missing out on that inside clip. But sets himself up nicely for that final outer zone. Again, just needs to work his way out there on a couple of them.
Yeah, and the big over rotation there along that initiation, having to use just a lot of left foot brake to try and get his way out to outside zone 2 didn't really work out for him, and the score shows 69.2 on the board for Victor Alves, but he has another run. Vitaly up next in his Supra. Big initiation, nicely done from Vitaly as he works his way through turn 1 here in these outside zones, down to the inside clip, a little tight to it. Big transition for outside zone 4, he works his way out to 5, and then back down into inside 2. Good transition there as he fills that next outside zone. Continuing down the hill and up over the little hump there. To the last and final turn, using that clutch a little bit to correct the line and fill the last and final outside zone.
I just got a little out of shape there at the end. He got a little Little hair raising, but he still makes it across the line, gets a score on the board of a 94.7. As we move back around to the top of the field for the second runs of Group 1. 6 groups here today, so lots of action for qualifying still to come. Sitting on a 94.2, this man here, Daniel Andrzejewicz, initiates it. Big initiation, super quick through outer zone 1 and 2, pushing all the way out to outer zone 3. Looking very good so far, nice and settled as he makes the transition. Outer zone 4 and 5, right on the white line, maybe one tire. Not as tight to that inside clip as he could be, but making it outer zone 6 and 7. Daniel really throwing it down out here, putting that car where it needs to be, and gets it right on the white line for the final outer zone.
Yeah, nicely done again from Daniel Andreev. Is it going to be enough to better the 94.2? It's not. It's going to fall just a little shy, 92.5, but a good tiebreaker score if he needs it. Simon Sandman up for his second run. And his second run ever here in the Virtual Drift Championship. Coming off the 87.2, he picks up throttle quickly for outside zone 1. A little off on his line and angle for outside zone 2, but gets back on it for 3. Grabbing that inside clip. Big transition for 4. He's going to kind of beeline 5, though. That's going to put him wide there and have to drive back in for the inside clip. And a big transition right along that yellow line as he continues on down the little hill here. As he continues for the last and final turn all the way out there to that track edge, leaving it just a little and across the finish line.
Yeah, kind of a Hail Mary run there for Simon Sandman's second run. Just let's throw the throttle down and see what happens. Does better his score though with an 89.2. Sitting on a 91 at the line, Eduardo Alves in the S15. Ready to see what they can do for the second run of qualifying. Initiates in. Nappy initiation. Right to angle on throttle through outer zone 1 and 2. Pushing all the way out to outer zone 3. Grab that inside clip nicely. Makes the transition happen. Is that too wide? That might have been a tire drop, but holds it together for the inside clip. He makes the transition into outer zone 6 again. Wide, dropping into the tire. Just outside of that box, he makes a little bit of a late transition with a bobble there coming into this final outer zone. Let's see what the judges lay down for his second run of qualifying.
Yeah, overall, a pretty strong run there for his second run. 88.5 on the board, so it does fall just a little shy of his 91 that he already had. But overall, nicely done, William Holloway. Coming up, trying to better the 89.7 he already has on that board. Rolling that RX-7 in, a little tentative there through that section in between outside 1 and 2, but he is locked into the line now here, grabbing that inside clip. Almost late on that transition, but he stays on track there, filling that zone and working his way around that inside clip too, and doing a nice job doing so. He does go just a little bit wide of outside zone 5 and that inside clip there. So he'll work his way out to the outside and across that finish line.
Yeah, William Holloway, there's a lot of left foot brake throughout the course, even in that last outer zone, just on the left foot brake the whole way around. And 87 for the second score for William Holloway. As we move over to Riley Sobouche with an 86.5. Probably going to want to improve that if any of the other rounds are an example of what might come today. Initiates in, looks good through outer zone 1, maybe dropping a bit of tire through outer zone 1, trying to set himself up for outer zone 2 and 3, but gets through them nice and clean, super tight to that inside clip, makes the transition happen, doesn't go too wide for outer zone 5 as he sets up now for outer zone 6. Looking good so far for Riley. Dives it in, makes the transition, finds that reference point, pushes out to the white line and holds it there to cross the line for the second run of qualifying.
Yeah, trying to better the 86.5 that he already had, and he does. 88.7 on the board. And Ernestes up next, 96.5. Currently sitting number 1 position here in Group 1. 5 groups today, a small 5th group. So just over 50 drivers as Ernestes initiates in nicely. Laying the throttle down as well as he works through turn 1, filling outside zone 3. And a good transition for 4. Working his way out to 5 there, filling it all the way. Another strong run here from Ernestes. Over the yellow line just a tad. But again, very teeny tiny deduction as he works his way out to the last and final outside zone. There he goes across that finish line. He might have bettered the 96.5. It's tough.
That's very tough, and that run looks super solid. I see 1 score, I see 2, and there's the third, a 98.3 for Anestis Ukulibis. Wow, what a score. That's just crazy. Next up, Stanislav Terasol, sitting on a 91.8. Let's see what they can do for the second run of qualifying. Down the straight, initiating in the Ferrari. Up the hill to outer zone 2. Looking good so far. As he makes the line over to outer zone 3. And through that inside clip, just grazing it as he makes the transition happen. Stanislav here trying to better that 91.8. And looking like he might do it so far as he's right along that yellow line for outer zone 6, makes it through 7, last transition, find the reference, put it on the white line and don't go over it as he crosses the finish line for qualifying.
Yeah, his second run there, trying to better the 91.8, and he does 93.5 on the board. And Artem Chokov back at the line, ready to go for his second run, 94.2. Can he better it here? Big initiation, tons of angle. Can he keep it together using the left foot brake just a little bit to hold him on that line that he wants as he works his way through turn 1, grabbing the inside clip. Good transition for 4, out to 5, all the way to that track edge. And down to the inside clip, maybe first hash there. Transitions now down the hill and up over that little hump. And nicely done from Artem again, fighting for that 3rd championship position.
Yeah, Artem wanting a score that'll beat the 94.2, and he does with a 95.7 for the second run of qualifying. So very good score to try and hang on to that 3rd place indeed. As next up, sitting on a 96.2, can we see him match that 98 that Ernestes put down? At 98.3, we'll see what happens here as he comes through outer zone 3 now. Darius putting it through that inside clip, making the transition happen, puts it out to the white line. Darius looking just as locked in as Ernestes as they come through outer zone 6 and 7 now. One last transition, one last inside clip, one last outer zone, pushes all the way out, maybe a little too wide for that final run, but Darius Ostraka coming out swinging.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to better that 96.2 he already has on the board. Both Urticars sitting at 1 and 2 and a 94.8. So falling just shy, but a good tiebreaker score if he needs it later on. Victor Alves trying to better his run here after the big over angle in turn 1. Nicely done this time. As he fills outside zone 2, works his way out to outside zone 3. Now driving that car in for the inside clip nicely. Almost late on the transition, but he keeps things together. Working a little bit outside now. Hangs on to it a little long. Good transition though. That next outside zone down the small hill here. Ooh, little hump. The inside clip, but he works his way out to the outside, and there he goes across that finish line.
Well, that run should definitely improve on the 69.2, and it does with a 91.5. It's great to have him up into the 90s as we come to our last run of Group 1, but don't worry, there are 6 more groups to get through, sitting on a 94.7. Vitali here initiating in, looking good off the initiation, just throwing the angles. He gets outer zone 1 and 2, pushing all the way out for outer zone 3. Good so far for Vitali as he gets that transition to zone 4, now into 5. No waivers yet, maybe a bit closer to that inside clip, but makes the transition work through outer zone 6 and 7. One last transition to go. Vitali here looking good, pushes out to that white line and holds it there to finish out his run.
Yeah, trying to better that 94.7, really going after it there in that run, locked in through most of it, and he does 96 on the board to finish out Group 1 of qualifying, and we've got some strong scores on the board. Ernestas 98.3, Darius Ostreka with a 96.2 on the board, and Vitali with his 96 to round out your current top 3, again after just one group of qualifying. Group 2 will now load in, get a couple of practice runs in, make sure all their equipment is working good. Maybe shake out the jitters a little bit. But while we have the time, a huge shout out to Scott over at Grip Roll and Jokah Design, letting us use this, again, super wonderful version of the virtual drift mansion. If you don't have it already, click the link in the description of the live stream. Go get it. The layout will come in a later update. And a fun layout it is. We'll throw it up on our public servers as well once it goes live. Got word that we have a group at the Drift Mansion now watching it live from the Drift Mansion over in that garage up on the big screen. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope y'all are enjoying it. It is such a fun layout. I can't wait to get it out. Alright, well, I'm hearing the last call from those judges, and we'll start bringing drivers to the line. Zach O'Sullivan, our current points leader and champion, will be our first in Group 2. Brandon Patrick right behind him there, and he's sitting second position in the points. Austin Zalewski right behind him. Carlos Diogo, Alexander Yegar, Brandon Williams, Ethan Minima, Kazuki Fukushi, and Reese Tatterson all up next. And the lights have illuminated, and Zach O'Sullivan is off for his first run here in the final round, trying to hang on to that #1 position as he enters in and fills both those outside zones nicely as he works out to outside zone 3, now driving that car in for the inside clip. Big transition as he fills 4 and works out to 5, utilizing that left foot brake a little bit and kind of having to work that car in for that second inside clip, but bang on the yellow line there for outside zone 6 and works his way through 7 across that final inside clip and working out to the outside zone now, all the way out to that track edge and across the finish line for his first run.
Well, we knew Zach was going to come out swinging, and swinging indeed did he do. We wait for the final score to come in at a 96.5 for run number 1. But this next man up, he's the guy in second place. He is going to be going after Zach every chance he gets. Brandon Patrick in the Ferrari, in second place in the points, and not far behind Zach. It is anyone's championship still here today. Initiating into outer zone 1. Maybe could have been a bit deeper into outer zone 1 as he pushed through outer zone 2 into outer zone 3. And looking good through the inside clip and the transition down to outer zone 5. Looking good so far. Brandon dialed in through outer zone 6 and 7. Now making the transition through that final inside clip, pushing all the way out for the final outer zone for run number 1. Maybe coming off it just a little bit early, but we'll see what the judges say for a score.
Yeah, overall nicely done by Brandon Patrick there as we wait on those scores to come through. And a 96.7 on the board. So that puts him just ahead of Zach O'Sullivan there in the second position, right up under Ernestes. Austin Zalewski up next and through the chicane. And nicely done for outside zone 1 and 2 as well. Austin getting a lot of practice throughout the week, and it seems to be paying off so far as he makes that transition across really fast in practice, as well as he looks the same here in qualifying around that inside clip. Big transition across. He does go wide at the end of that outside zone, and that's going to make him leave the next one a little bit early as he works his way through this last and final turn out to that track edge and across the finish line. So overall, nicely done from Austin Zalewski.
Yeah, Austin swinging it and throwing it down. 93.2. It's not a bad starting score at all, as Carlos Diogo is at the line in that S15, ready to rock and roll for the first run of qualifying. Initiating in. Looks good off the initiation, picks up the throttle, trying to get that car all the way to the outer zone, all the way into outer zone 2, and manages to do so, grabbing outer zone 3 as well, filling outer zone 4 with that transition down to 5. Carlos Diogo looking good so far on a decent line. Few little mistakes, thought he was going to go into the wall there for a second as he went super wide for outer zone 6, but doesn't, and keeps it and holds it together and manages to finish out this first run of qualifying.
Yeah, Carlos Diogo, his first run of the day, and an 89.8 on the board. Starting him out, Alexander Yegard up next in his S13. And all the way out there for outside zone 2, using a little left foot brake here and there. Really pours on the angle at outside zone 3 that drives him in for the inside clip nicely, though, as he works his way through the course now up to inside clip 2. Does go a little bit wide there, maybe even second hash, as he fills that next outside zone nicely, though, working down the hill a little bit. Could have been a little bit further mid-track. He does go wide to the next inside clip just a little bit, and wide there at the beginning of the last and final outside zone, finishing out his first run.
Alexander Yeager trying to get a good first run in and ends up with a 94, so not a bad score at all for your very first run. Brandon Williams now at the line, ready to go. We'll see what Brandon Williams can throw down for us. Everyone else pretty decent into the 90s here, so kind of showing what we're going to have to do. Brandon Williams off the initiation, missing out on outer zone 1, but manages to work that S15 back out to outer zone 2 and 3. Now starting to look a little more dialed in, starting to feel the car out. off of that mistake very early on. Coming through the inside clip into outer zone 6. He goes wide and spins. Oh no, Brandon Williams.
Yeah, I'm not sure what went wrong there for Brandon Williams. That will be an unfortunate 0 on the board, but he does have a second run to go to clean that up. Ethan Minima now at the line ready to go. And through the chicane. On for his first run in the new car. And looking good so far. As he works his way through outside zone 3 now. Down to the inside clip. And out to outside zone 5 now. Looking really good here in the new car so far. Maybe a little bit more balanced. Just more at home, more comfortable. Either way, heater of a run here for Ethan Minima. And there he goes across that finish line. Nicely done.
Yeah, Ethan throwing it down in that new chassis. And the scores show it was a good change. 95.2 for Ethan Minima's first run. As we move over to Kazuki Fukushi in the GR Corolla. A beautiful car this is, and great to see Kazuki back for the final round. Initiating in. Whoa! Big initiation, grabs the wall, not able to save it. And that is going to be a 0 for Kazuki with that unfortunate wall tap that ended his run.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to take the practice anyway. And yeah, our first victim to the wall. It is quite easy to do. Run it in practice. And these, you know, not filled with water, not filled with sand. Tungsten steel. And, and these suckers. As he'll head on back to the pits. And we'll send Reese Tatterson on for his first run. And through the chicane. And a good initiation there, filling outside zone 1, and he's flying up to outside zone 2. Does go a little wide, gives the wall a little bit of a tap, but keeps things going. So might just be a deduction for him as he works his way down to outside zone 5. Could have been a little bit deeper there. We've seen everyone going to that track edge, and a little leg spike there from Reese. He'll continue on though. Good transition through that inside clip, locked in there as he works his way to the outside now and across the finish line. Reese Tatterson.
Yeah, almost a repeat of Kazuki's run, but he manages to hang on to it and ends up with a score of an 88, but he still has another run to clean that up and hopefully get that internet sorted out. That was a very big leg spike there. So we go back up to the top of the sheet, sitting on a 96.5 for group number 2. Zach O'Sullivan, our current point leader and last year's VDC champion. He's going to try to beat that 98.3 from Ernestus earlier. Initiates in. Looking good so far through outer zone 1 and 2. Nice and dialed right up to that white line. Through the inside clip, makes the transition happen through outer zone 4, right to track edge of outer zone 5. Zach O'Sullivan looking dialed here for run number 2. Maybe a little wide there through outer zone 5, but still looking good. Not a single fault in that wheel. The car has barely moved, and it stayed in drifting on that line the entire run.
Yeah, going after that number 1 position. Zach O'Sullivan, is that the final score there on the board? I believe so. 97.3 for his second run. That'll put him in the second position. Brandon Patrick up next, 96.7. That's what he is currently sitting on. Again, these two going for that number 1 position. He drives off outside zone 1 early though. Doesn't quite fill it but filling the next two nicely as he'll work around that inside clip now. Good transition for outside zone 4 into 5 and driving that big car in for the inside clip. Good transition across as well, but he's gonna come up short for that next outside zone. Last and final transition here, working his way to the outside now and across the finish line.
Yeah, a few mistakes there through outer zone 6 and 7, and then maybe only going halfway through outer zone 8, and an 89 for the final score of Brandon Patrick, but a high score of 96.7, so not bad indeed. As we move over to Austin Silveski, sitting on a 93.2. Again, another driver not to shake a stick at. Someone that could definitely surprise us here. Initiates in through outer zone 1, all the way out through outer zone 2. And goes through outer zone 3. Not as deep into outer zone 3 as everybody else has been, but on a good line here as he comes through outer zone 5 now, filling that entire zone. Makes the transition happen for outer zone 6. He's looking nice and dialed in. Not a lot of falters coming through that final inside clip out to the final outer zone, right along that white line, finishing out the second run of qualifying.
Yeah, nicely done again from Austin Zalewski. Maybe his first run, we'll have to see with that score though. 93.2 is what he's currently sitting on, and a 95.5. That'll move him up a little bit into that 7th position there. Here in Group 2, Carlos Diogo, 89.8 is what he is currently sitting on. If he can maybe better that and get a little bit safer position here in the second group of qualifying, and he's doing a nice job for turn 1 so far as he works his way through outside zone 3. Down for the inside clip, really angling up quite a bit there as he works his way through 4 and 5 now. Down to the inside clip 2, maybe going just a little bit wide, and definitely going wide there. And oh no, off into the woods. Oh, Carlos Diogo, come back.
Well, we'll send recovery to go get him in a bit here. He just wanted to go fishing. He knew. He's like, my score's good enough. Fishing time.
I'm not gonna lie, I almost put a wall there to save that from happening, but
where there's a will, the drivers will find a way. Sitting on a 94 at the line, Alexander Jaegerd, ready to see if he can improve on that 94. Down the straight he comes and initiates in. Alexander looking good off the initiation, pushing all the way out to outer zone 2. Had to pull out some angle and then re-add some angle into outer zone 3. But looking pretty dialed in here as he comes into outer zone 4. And then 5. Yeah, looking way better now in the latter half of the course. Making the transition into outer zone 6. Oh, we've seen it claim so many victims today, but he makes it work and gets through it as he grabs that final inside clip and pushes all the way out for the final outer zone.
Yeah, Alexander Jaegerd going after it there, but he is going to fall just a little bit shy with a 90.8 on the board. Brandon Williams back up to the line on the unfortunate 0, so got to get some points on the board here for run 2. Pressure is on. Much better on the initiation this time around, all the way out there for outside zone 2 as well. And he'll work his way for outside zone 3 down to that inside clip. Utilizing that clutch for turn 2 here. Good transition into outside zone 6, now down to 7. Down the little hill and up over the little hump there and across that inside clip. Utilizing that clutch some more. So he works his way out to the track edge, and nicely done from Brandon Williams with the pressure on.
Yeah, with the pressure on, Brandon Williams manages to make up for a little mistake through 4 and 5, but it doesn't hurt him too bad. A 94.5 on the board off of that 0. So a good job indeed from Brandon Williams. Sitting on a 95.2, Ethan Minima in the new chassis, the JCA 90. ready to throw it down. Again, sitting on a 95.2, initiates in. Looks good through outer zone 1. Kind of pulling the angle out, though, through outer zone 2, having to readjust himself, but gets through outer zone 3 and that inside clip beautifully as he makes the transition happen through the next 2 outer zones. And Ethan looking dialed in now, starting to really get a feel for run number 2 and putting it down as he comes through outer zone 6 and 7 and makes that final transition, lines himself up for outer zone 8, gets right on that white line and hangs on to it to the finish.
Yeah, nicely done once again there from Ethan Minima, trying to better the 95.2. And he does 97.3, so that moves him up into that 3rd position now here in Group 2. Kazuki Fukushi up next and on his 0 as well. Pressure on for him as he initiates in and stays off the wall this time as he works his way out the outside zone. 2 a little off on his angle there as he works his way through it, but back on it now. Transition into turn 2 here. A little moment there before outside zone 5, and he's gonna go wide and then back down to the inside a little bit too late, but he fills that next outside zone nicely and up over the little hump here. He's gonna put that throttle down, and he does all the way out to the outside and across the finish line. So points on the board for Kazuki.
And that's always good when you're coming off of a 0 and 84, so it's not a lot of points, but it might be enough for today. As sitting on an 88 and our last driver for group number 2, still many more groups to come here today for qualifying for the final round of the Virtual Drift Championship. Reese Tatterson initiates in, looking good through outer zone 1, pushing all the way up towards outer zone 2, almost collecting that wall, but stays off of it as he comes through outer zone 3, filling it nicely through the inside clip. Very fast transition through outer zone 4 and 5. Making it work for him now, getting a little more confident with that throttle from run number 1. Really able to push that Z through this course. One more outer zone to go to try and beat that 88. A little wide for the final outer zone, but finishes out the run.
Going for a little extra X factor there at the very last turn, going just a little bit wide and almost catching a piece of the wall, but he does better his score. 91.2 on the board for Reese Tatterson. We'll take a look at our current top 8. Ernestes sitting number 1, 98.3. Zeko Sullivan, 97.3 on the board. Ethan Minima, 97.3 for him. Brandon Patrick, 96.7. Darius Ostreka, 96.2. Vitaly, his 96, Artem Chokov 95.7, and Austin Zalewski with his 95.5 to round out the current top 8 after 2 groups of qualifying. We're going to take a quick break, reset the server with our next set of drivers, and group 3 will be up next. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is the final round of Season 8 Virtual Drift Championship here at the wonderful Drift Mansion. We've just loaded in Group 3 of qualifying. If you're just now joining us, there is the current top 8. Ernestes sitting 98.3 first position. Zach O'Sullivan 97.3 on the board, and Ethan Minima 97.3 as well to round out the top 3. Getting last call from those judges on their practice runs as we see literally almost everyone out on the track all together. Yes, this layout will be made available for everyone that does own the virtual Drift Mansion. If you don't have it already, click the link in the description. Go get it now. Get ahead. There will be an update to that base track and the layout included. Layout just works as really just an add-on to the wonderful base version of the track made by Jokah Design, working together with Scott there from Grip Row, a couple of other people from the Drift Mansion as well. We've got a whole group watching from the Drift Mansion today. And scores have been crazy. Again, 98 sitting on the board. Ernestes coming out swinging. And it'll be Alexander Element at the line. And Alexander off for his first run of the day. Again, final round here. As he initiates in and picks up that throttle. Working his way through turn 1. Yes, his car is just a little bit quiet there as he works through outside zone 5. Let's see if we can...
Stock mufflers.
As he continues on. Last transition there, going a little bit wide for the inside clip and that reference point you see on the track, but filling the last and final outside zone across the finish line, Alexander Element.
Alexander Element respecting not only the track, but the noise limits set in place. 95.7 for Alexander Element's very first run for Group 3 as we move over to Abdulaziz Al-Harbi in that GT86, ready to throw down. Initiating in, looking good through outer zone 1, pushes all the way out to outer zone 2 as he makes his way through outer zone 3, a little bobble towards outer zone 3, but makes it work through that inside clip and the transition through outer zone 4 down into 5, right along that white line. Abdulaziz looking good here as he makes the transition, maybe a little kind of hard to tell, but makes it work through outer zone 7 as well. Could have been just a tad deeper through 7 as he sets himself up for that final outer zone and drives off it near the end, but still will get some points on the board.
Yeah, overall, a pretty solid run there from Abdulaziz Al-Harbi. And look at there, the score shows 94.5 on the board. And Dimitri Mitten up next, ready to go at the line. Lights are illuminating. And off he goes for his first run here in Group 3. Again, 5 groups today, a small Group 5, so just over 50 drivers as Dimitri works through turn 1, now filling outside zone 2, out to outside zone 3, and through the inside clip there. The transition across could have been a little bit deeper there. We want him on that white line there. In fact, listening to the drivers meeting this morning, judges said that it would be a bigger deduction, not filling a zone all the way, rather than just dropping over that white line just a little bit and across that finish line. Dimitri Mitten.
Dimitri Mitten, very good run for the first run of for the first run of qualifying for him. 93.5 on the board. Now we move over to João Victor de Paula Silva in that S14. The lights go on. Let's see what they can do for first run of qualifying. Initiates in. A little jump there as he initiated the car in through outer zone 1. Nicely done through outer zone 2 as he works the car out as wide as he can for outer zone 3, through that inside clip, down through outer zone 4, filling it nicely, filling 5 nicely as well. Driving too wide though for the inside clip, grabbing that third hash mark, but setting himself up beautifully for 6 and 7. One last transition to go, 2 clipping points to go. There's the inside clip. Now make your way through outer zone 8. And looking good out there is Joao.
Yeah, not too shabby from Joao. 92.3 on the board for him, so a strong score that'll maybe get him into the top 32, maybe the last 16. We'll have to wait and see. There have been some strong scores today here at the Drift Mansion. Jordan L. Nasser up next, returning in his Viper. Beautiful Viper indeed as he jumps into turn 1 here and sets himself on fire as he continues on through turn 1, filling outside zone 3 and through the inside clip there. Good transition. Coming up just a little bit short of outside zone 5 and trying to work his way around that inside clip. And down the little hill now, up over the little hump. We're that last and final inside clip and working out to the last outside zone. Now he's going to come up short though. Across the finish line, he's got some points on the board.
Yeah, maybe enough to get him into the last 12, but still has another run to go. An 86 on the board for Jordan L. Nasser as we move over to Robert Kavinsky in the Lexus. Beautiful car. Great to see the Lexus's return. Initiates in. Robert very deep on the initiation through outer zone 1 all the way up to outer zone 2, making his way through 3 now, drawing a really nice arc, adding some angle through that inside clip, making that transition work. Robert through that inside clip now, making the transition happen through outer zone 5. Normally a quiet run is a good run as he's just putting the car exactly where it needs to be. Nothing crazy. Little bobble though coming into outer zone 8, trying to extend that car to fill the zone, but doesn't fill it quite near the beginning.
Yeah, not quite. I wonder if he's maybe limiting his wheel speed there as Robert puts on a 94. Christian Petrov at the line ready to go. And through the chicane, off for his first run. And a huge initiation, hangs on to it though and works his way out to outside zone 2. Could have been a little bit deeper there, and a couple of small bobbles here through turn 1 as he works his way around that inside clip. He's struggling a little bit with the connection is Christian Petrov as he makes his second transition here on the course, filling that outside zone. And that next one down the small hill here, trying to grab that inside clip, picking up that throttle, and a big bobble again from Christian Petrov as he works his way through the last and final outside zone now.
Yeah, almost like Petrov there knew he wasn't going to be wide enough for turn 8, and he just had to make that correction, get the car out there. 85.7 for run number 1, but still's got another one to try and better that score. Jean Reeves now in the Corvette, did fantastic at the last round. Let's see how he does here in the final round through outer zone 1 and 2. Looking great so far as he comes through that inside clip. Very speedy run here as he comes through outer zone 5 already and dives towards that inside clip, grabs it nicely and makes the transition happen right along the yellow line. Dijon really going for it here as he makes the final transition and sets up for outer zone 8, gets all the way out there, puts it on the white line and crosses the finish line.
Yeah, nicely done from Dijon there. Rampage going crazy for his first run of qualifying. 95.7 on the board. That'll put him in the top 8. 8th position. Danielis Parangauskas up next. Returning back to us in his BMW here. Oh, and a big initiation, almost going backwards, somehow makes it work as he works his way through outside zone 3 now. Laying down the throttle. Good transition across. Filling outside zone 4. All the way out for 5 now. Trying to drive that car in for the inside clip. He grabs it. Good transition across now. Just a hair wide of that outside zone. Pangalis on a good run here as last and final outside zone across that finish line. Nicely done from Pangalis.
Well, if there was such thing as commitment, that was commitment if I've ever seen it. It puts it backwards and says, oh, right throttle, and gets it moving. An 86.7 on the board for Danielius. So not too shabby. Got to clean it up and run number 2. Kevin Stump at the line in that all-new Z. The NOS energy drink. Chris Forsberg Racing, all-new Z, initiates in. Little tentative coming out of outer zone 1 towards outer zone 2. But picks back up and grabs outer zone 3 nicely. As he makes the transition through that inside clip into outer zone 4 and 5. Now looking nice and settled with that car as he makes the transition into outer zone 6, down towards 7, nice and clean, filling the zones completely. Kevin Stump here, really tearing up this course as he comes into outer zone 8. And a very good run indeed.
Yeah, nicely done from Kevin Stump there. Locked into that run. 95 on the board for him. So we've got Augusto Ferrera at the line, ready to go. Lights are illuminating. And off he goes through the chicane. Turning in the big BMW. Switching from the Supra and picking up throttle for outside zone 1. Filling outside zone 2, maybe a little bit deeper there. Same with 3 as well, coming up just a little bit short of these outside zones. He's in them, but again, we want to see him putting a wheel on that white line as he works his way down to the second inside clip. Good transition though, nailing that yellow line and the white one for the next outside zone, and good transition. Could have been a little bit tighter to the inside clip and a little offline as he works his way into the last and final outside zone, but strong run from Augusto.
Yeah, not bad at all, and nothing that can't be cleaned up in run number 2, so just get rid of those qualifying nerves a bit, get the run in, and get the points on the board. A 92 for Augusto Ferrera's first run, but not a shabby score at all. Coming up to the line and back around to the top of Group 3, Alexander Element sitting on a 95.7, ready for run number 2. Let's see what kind of run Alexander can throw down here. One of the many drivers in the Ferrari. Initiates in. Good initiation through outer zone 1, driving a nice line up to outer zone 2. Maybe a little bobble there with the wheel as he sets up for outer zone 3, but keeping the car right to that white line through the inside clip, down through outer zone 4 and through 5 nicely as he gets into that inside clip and ready for the transition for outer zone 6. Alexander Element putting the car where it needs to be right now. Makes that final transition through the inside clip, sets up now for outer zone 8. And tires right on the white line and across the finish line to finish out qualifying for Alexander Element.
Yeah, trying to better the 95.7 and going after it there for that run. And locked into the line and the outside zones. We wait on that score, 95.8, so it does better the score by 0.1. We've got Abdulaziz Al-Harbi at the line, ready to go for his second run. 94.5 is what he's currently sitting on. Lights have been illuminated, and he is off for his second run here in the final round at the Drift Mansion. Good initiation from Abdulaziz as he works his way up to outside zone 2 and down to outside zone 3 now. Around that first inside clip. Nicely done on the transition as well. Really flying out the outside zone 5. Along that track edge, maybe just a tad over it. As he makes his next transition for that outside zone. Goes a little bit wide of it, but nicely done on the next one. Down the hill and up over the little hump. Down last and final turn and outside zone. Going just a little over that line and across the finish line.
Abdulaziz there with a very fast run. Like, that run took no time at all to get through. and ends up there with a 92.3. So not bettering that 94.5, but a good run overall, as we have Dimitri Mitten sitting at the line and on a score of a 93.5. If he can improve that in run number 2 here. Initiates in, big flick initiation through outer zone 1 into outer zone 2. Could have been a bit deeper in outer zone 2, but makes it work as he comes through outer zone 3 through that inside clip, makes the transition happen through outer zone 4, right along the white line for outer zone 5 through the inside clip, and through outer zone 6, maybe just a little wide for 6, but it sets him up nicely for 7. One last transition to go. Pushes all the way out for outer zone 8 and finishes out his second run of qualifying.
Yeah, nicely done. That last and final outside zone locked into that track edge. Dimitri Mitten trying to get a score on the board. 95.3 for him. Joan Victor back at the line for his second run. 92.3 currently on the board for him as he jumps that car into turn 1. Working his way through these outside zones now. On this inside clip in front of the house. And a big transition. On his way down to outside zone 5 and comes up a little shallow of that track edge and a little wide of the inside clip. Maybe second hash as he fills that next outside zone. Working his way down the small hill here. Last transition, nicely done. Working his way to that track edge for the final zone and finishing out his last qualifying run.
Sitting on that 92 and hoping to improve, but not quite making it there. 91.7 for João Victor de Paulo Silva. As we move over to Jordan El Nasser's second run, sitting on that 86, he's gonna want to improve it. Saw him out late last night practicing. Will it have paid off? Not that deep into outer zone 1. Tries to grab all of outer zone 2 and pushing all the way out to outer zone 3 while adding some angle to grab that inside clip. Really kind of demolishing, going over the line there for outer zone 4, but making it work for outer zone 5. Not the cleanest of runs, but maybe bettering that score as he doesn't fill all of 7 either. Makes the transition happen. He has one last outer zone to go. This time all the way out, though, for outer zone 8. And will it beat that 86?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit better executed there for his second run. Again, sitting on the 86. Wait for the score to come in. And a 90 on the board for Jordan El Nasser. As Robert is at the line ready to go for his second run. 94 currently on the board. And down the run up. Good initiation, nice and snappy into turn 1, all the way out there for outside zone 2. Riding that track edge there for those zones and around that inside clip. Nicely done for 4 as well, and a good line for 5. He'll come up off that outside right once that zone ends. And look at there, filling that next outside zone. Just locked in here is Robert. Last and final transition through that inside clip. And working it out to the outside now. Left it before and fills it all the way around this time around.
Yeah, so sitting on that 94 for Robert, that run definitely improved it. And he now has a 97 for his second score. So very good improvement indeed. We wait for Christian Petrov to get to the line. Christian sitting on an 85.7. So another driver here in Group 3 that's going to need to improve that score to hopefully make it out of the last 12 battles. Christian, lights on and initiating for run number 2. Looking good through outer zone 1 and 2. Drawing a nice arc towards outer zone 3 as well as he comes through that inside clip. Christian looking a lot more dialed in on this second run. He comes through that inside clip, makes the transition happen through outer zone 6 down into 7. Yeah, looking gorgeous out there. for Christian's second run. I think this is definitely going to improve on that 85.7.
Yeah, I think so. And it even looked like his connection might have been a little bit better there through the second run. And a 93.5 on the board. Nicely done from Christian Petrov. To Reese. 95.7 currently on the board. And a little hiccup there on the initiation. Looked like it just didn't get the angle that he maybe wanted out of that Corvette. As he works his way around that inside clip now. Big transition and filling outside zone 4 and 5 as well. On that second inside clip. Good transition right on the yellow line there, working down the hill now. Good final transition. Out to that reference point and to that track edge for the last and final zone. Across the finish line.
Well, just waiting for Dijon's second run score to come in. Sitting on a 95.7. He finishes out run number 2 just shy with a 94.8. But not a bad second run indeed, as Danilius Perengauskas is now at the line, sitting on that 86.7. Another driver that's going to want to improve for run number 2. Initiates in, looks good through the initiation through outer zone 1. And nicely done into outer zone 2 as well. Pushing that car all the way out to outer zone 3, having to hang on to that angle through the inside clip. Kind of dancing the car around in between each outer zone here so far. So hopefully he can get a little more settled in it as he comes through outer zone 6 and now into 7. One last transition to go, one last outer zone. Through the turn he comes into the outer zone. Nice and dialed in, and hopefully that's enough to improve on his 86.7.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, really from his first run, that big initiation and kind of over angle, not what the judges want to see, and I think that's where the big deduction came from, but a 93.5 on the board for his second run. Kevin Stump currently sitting on his 95. Off for his second run, trying to better it, and nicely done for outside zone 1, working it all the way out there for outside zone 2 to that track edge. On that first inside clip, nicely done from Kevin Stump. Kind of beelining 5 though, gets to that outside maybe a little bit late. As you see there, the line just a little bit off for inside clip 2, going a little bit wide for that next outside zone as well. He continues on last transition and working his way to the outside now, riding that track edge and across the finish line. Kevin Stump.
Yeah, Kevin Stump trying to improve on that 95. Will it be enough? It just falls shy with a 94, but a good tiebreaker score as we come to the end of group number 3 here, sitting on a 92. Augusto Ferrera ready to go to close out group 3 and hopefully improve on the 92. Initiates in. Could have been a bit deeper into outer zone 1. He has to kind of work the car back out to outer zone 2. And now fills most of outer zone 3. Nicely done through the inside clip. Makes the transition happen, but kind of runs over the clipping points. The little cones there as he comes through outer zone 5. Now through the inside clip. And transitions into outer zone 6 and 7. Nice and smooth through 6 and 7. One last transition to go. A little late there on the transition through that inside clip, but makes it work through outer zone 8 and finishes out group number 3.
Yeah, not too bad from Augusto. Really almost wrote the run off there in that first transition as he parks up to the garage there. 87 on the board, so he'll stick with his 92, but a not bad score to have on that board. As we'll load in our next group of drivers, group 4. That's going to do it for 3 groups. Our Nestes sitting number 1 still with a 98.3. Zach O'Sullivan with his 97.3, and Ethan Minima with his 97.3 to round out the current top 3 drivers after 3 groups of qualifying. All right, last call from those judges on their practice runs here for Group 4. Get their final ones in. And Ethan Pikachu will be leading us off for Group 4. You hear those last drivers getting their practice runs in. Right, here we go. Lights are illuminated. Ethan is off for his first run here in the final round. Big initiation in, filling that outside zone 1 and 2, working his way through this turn 1 nicely. Good transition for outside zone 4 as he works his way down to that next outside zone. And really nicely done from Ethan, going a little bit wide on that transition, but filling those 2 outside zones nicely as he dives in for that inside clip, working his way to the outside now. Could have been maybe just a little bit deeper. It's a tough one there. Ethan Pikachu for his first run.
Yeah, Ethan coming out swinging for run number 1, 96.8 on the board. It's very good run number 1 indeed. Sitting at the line, ready to go in that 240SX is Marcus, Mr. Pink Drifter Lindquist. As the lights go on and off he can go for his first run of qualifying here in Group 4. One more group to go after this, and it's a very short group, so make sure you don't go anywhere. Initiating in, right up against the line for Outer Zone 1. Hits the little hop, but makes it into Outer Zone 2 nicely. Good job through Outer Zone 3 and that inside clip. Marcus looking pretty dialed in here for this course today. Could have been a bit deeper there into Outer Zone 5, but makes up for it as he comes into Outer Zone 6. Yeah, Marcus looking super dialed here as we go through the final inside clip and pushing out to Outer Zone 8. Marcus finishes out first run of qualifying.
Yeah, Marcus, Mr. Pink Drifter, going crazy for his first run. 95.2 on the board. That might have been his best run so far this season, or highest score at least. Brandon Gardner at the line. his Chris Forsberg Racing all-new Z. Down the run up. Nicely done for outside zone 1 there as he fills it all the way, working up to 2 now. And filling 3, locked into turn 1 around that inside clip. Very well done. Transition, filling those next outside zones and around that inside clip. Good transition across as well. Brandon Gardner on a heater, last and final transition around that inside clip. Out to the last and final outside zone. Brandon Gardner locked in.
Brandon Gardner there, just putting that all-new Z exactly where it needed to be. Getting a really good score here for his first run. Just waiting on the last one to come in now to give us the total. 96.5 for Brandon Gardner. As I believe we have another newcomer here. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but Linus at the line in the JZ-A80. Linus initiating in for the first run of qualifying, looking good through outer zone 1, getting all the way out there for outer zone 2. Clearing up outer zone 3 as well, coming through that inside clip, making the transition work. And right to the white line for outer zone 5. Yeah, Linus doing a very good job here for their first ever run of qualifying. Into outer zone 8, gets all the way out to that white line, finishes out the run.
Wow, Linus again, his first run here in the Virtual Drift Championship and doing a nice job with it. We wait on that score to come through. 93.5 on the board for him, a strong score. Again, first run in the Virtual Drift Championship. Austin Meeks is up next, but not at the line. There he is, coming to the line. Former Formula Drift Pro driver. We last saw him in the Cadillac ATS. And here he is, the Virtual Drift Championship in the F22 BMW. E58 powered and initiating in. Nicely done for outside zone 1. Could have been maybe just a little bit deeper. Leaves 2 just a little bit early, and shallow on 3 as he works his way through that inside clip. Almost late on the transition there, but filling both of those outside zones as he works his way around that inside clip now. Good transition, working his way to that edge. That's the final transition of the course now. Working his way to the outside. He's gonna get there a little bit early and across the finish line for his first run of qualifying.
Yeah, not a bad first run of qualifying for Austin Meeks there, ending up with a final score of 90 for run number 1. So not bad at all as we move over to the next driver, Masashi Yoshida. Ready to put some points down on that board as the lights go on, and off he goes for the first run of qualifying here at the Virtual Drift Championships. Initiating in and looking good through outer zone 1, drawing a nice line to outer zone 2. And hanging on to it through outer zone 3 as well as he moves down to that inside clip and gets ready to transition. Very quick transition through outer zone 4, maybe dropping a tire there through outer zone 5 over that white line. As he makes the transition happen for outer zone 6, he goes super wide for outer zone 6. Thought he was going to collect the wall, but he stays off of it as he comes through the final corner now and into outer zone 8. Masashi Yoshida puts some points on the board.
Yeah, he does indeed, really going after it there in his first run here in the final round. 91.5 on the board for him. So we've got Cameron Mustard now at the line ready to go for his first run. Here in the 4th group of qualifying, lights have been illuminated and he is off. Down the run up. And a hop and a skip initiation and tons of angle. He hangs on to it though, makes a small correction there at outside zone 2, but he's locked in now. He makes his first transition of the course now, filling outside zone 4 and 5. Nicely done here from Cameron Mustard. Tons of angle there around that inside clip. And filling these two outside zones down the little hill now, up over the little hump. Final turn and final outside zone across that finish line. Cameron Mustard.
Yeah, Cameron Nasser putting in a pretty good run there. 92.3 for the first run of qualifying as we come to the end of the first set of runs for Group 4. Lazamazao at the line, ready to go in the S14. And ready to get some points on the board for run number 1. Beautifully done off the initiation through outer zone 1, grabbing outer zone 2, pushing all the way out for outer zone 3 and grabbing that inside clip, setting up for the transition. Going wide, that might be a tire drop there through outer zone 5. As he comes through that inside clip, makes the transition happen, puts the pedal back down for outer zone 6 and 7. One last transition to go. One last outer zone to go. Lazam, not too shabby for run number 1.
Yeah, not too bad. I really thought he was going to write the runoff there on the initiation, going super wide for inside clip 1, but he hangs on to it. 90.8 on the board for Lazam. And we're back around to the start of Group 4. Ethan Pikachu, 96.8 on the board that he currently has already. So he goes for his second run. And initiating and filling outside zone 1 and up to 2. Tons of commitment here through turn 1 from Ethan. Laying down the throttle and smooth on his transition there. Nicely done for the inside clip as well. Ethan on a heater once again, coming off the 96.8. Will this be enough to better it maybe as he makes his final transition out to the last outside zone and across the finish line?
Yeah, Ethan's been very impressive in that Z all year long. Is it enough to maybe knock out our top qualifier? We wait for some scores to come in. And at 98.3, he matches. But I still think with the low score, he will be in second place. But a very good score indeed. Also with a good score, sitting on a 95.2, this man here, Marcus Lundquist, Mr. Pink Drifter, going for run number 2, hitting the wall off the initiation for outer zone 1. Holds it together though. I don't know if that put him into opposite drift for the judges, but I don't see any zeros coming up just yet, so the run's still good as he comes through outer zone 5 and starting to clean up the run now after that very early mistake that almost gave him zeros for run number 2. That's not good. You've done good today, Marcus. We want to see you into the top 32. Puts it on the white line for outer zone 8 and finishes out run number 2.
Yeah, Marcus going after it there in his second run. But to go back to Ethan and Pikachu, that will put him in the number 1 position over Ernestes. Ernestes had a 96.5 on the board, while Ethan had a 96.8 in that lower score. Brandon Gardner off now for his second run. 96.5 is what he has as well as he works his way through turn 1, filling outside zone 2 down to outside zone 3 now. He'll work his way around that inside clip. Nicely done. Super tight to it and filling outside zone 4 and 5 now on a really good line around the inside clip. Maybe first hash could have been just a little bit tighter and all the way out to that track edge or the edge of that outside zone. Last and final transition now across that reference point and into the final outside zone, finishing out his second run.
So Brandon Gardner there finishing out his second run, matching his score at 96.5. So very good indeed there. Sitting on a 93.5 and his second time qualifying in the Virtual Drift Championship. Linus at the line in the Supra, ready to go to see if he can improve on that 93.5. Initiating into outer zone 1. Looks good through outer zone 1 as he comes up the hill through outer zone 2. And now pushes out to outer zone 3, drawing a good arc through those first 3 outside zones. Now making the transition through outer zone 4, dropping tire through outer zone 5, and going wide for that inside clip. Makes the transition happen, starts to get back on track for outer zone 6 and 7, as he starts to calm himself down from the pre-run nerves a little bit and push himself through that final outer zone. You're almost there, and that is Linus completing qualifying for the first time.
Yeah, nicely done from Linus, and we should see him on into the top 32. He's getting close though, down to 21st position in his, or with his 93.5, and we'll see the top 28 locked into the top 32. The remaining 29 through 44 will go into the last 16 bracket, where they'll battle it out right after this for those final 4 top 32 positions, as Austin Meeks works his way through turn 1 now and trying to make it out there to outside zone 3. He does end up getting out there, but with a little bit of left foot brake help as he works his way through outside zone 5 now. Nicely done around the inside clip. Good transition into outside zone 6 now. Has to make a correction before 7. Last transition now tight to that inside clip and working his way around that reference point, but not quite wide enough for the last and final outside zone and across the finish line.
Yeah, Austin Meeks with a couple mistakes there in run number 2. Doesn't hurt his score too much from his previous score, as he ends up on an 89.2 for run number 2. With his high score there of a 90. Sitting at the line, sitting on a 91.5. That is going to be Masashi Yoshida in the BMW wagon. Out of the gate and flying towards outer zone 1 as he initiates in, and looking good so far through outer zone 2, and now out towards outer zone 3, just almost touching the wall there, putting the car right on the white line as he makes the transition through 4 and down into 5. Masashi is flying through this course as he transitions into outer zone 6 and gets through 7 nice and clean. Makes the transition happen through that inside clip. One more outer zone to go. Puts it on the white line and finishes out run number 2 of qualifying.
Yeah, nicely done for his second run, trying to better the 91.5, and he certainly does so. 96.2 on the board. His Cameron Mustard is back at the line, ready to go for his second run. 92.3 is what he currently has on the board. Initiating in all the way out there for the track edge. Leaves outside zone 2 maybe just a little bit early, but does end up filling outside zone 3. Good transition across now down to outside zone 5 and around that second inside clip. Nice and tight to it. Good transition into outside zone 6 down to 7. A little downhill and up over the little hump for the last and final transition around that reference point, and filling the last and final outside zone. Leaves it maybe just a little bit soon, but a strong run from Cameron Mustard.
Yeah, Cameron trying to improve and does improve on the 92.3, ending up with a 94.7 for run number 2. And that'll move him up a couple places there. Lazam Azau, our final driver of group number 4, and only one more group of qualifying to go, sitting on a 90.8, initiates into outer zone 1, trying to get that car all the way out to outer zone 2. Pushing to outer zone 3 now and drawing that nice arc through that inside clip and into the transition for outer zone 4 and 5. Gets through it nice and clean. Zam looking a little more solid this run around. Through outer zone 6 and 7. One last transition, but a leg spike on my end. Not sure if that showed up on stream, but that was the fastest transition of the day, if so. And finishing out the run is Lazam.
Yeah, it certainly was a moment in the connection there. And yeah, he really kind of took off after he got settled in after the transition. 90.8 on the board, though, from Lazam. So that's going to do it for, again, Group 4. And we'll load in our last and final group of qualifying. Group 5, it's a small group. Loading on into the server. They'll get a couple of practice runs in, but it will be Oliver Eppinger, Mustafa Amine, Vladislav Yakulovic, Stephen Hatcher, Olivier Elias, and Russell Jones all coming up next. Current top 8 on the board. Ethan sitting number 1 now over Ernestas, just barely though. That tiebreaker score coming into play, 0.3 of a difference, and Zach O'Sullivan with his 97.3 on the board as well to round out the top 3 as we move on into our final group of qualifying. Thank you everyone for tuning in today for qualifying. And again, we've got our last 16 qualifying battles coming up just after this. We'll take a very small break after our traditional qualifying, load those drivers in, and we'll watch them battle it out for the last 4 positions of that top 32. Last call from those judges. We'll have Oliver Eppinger come to the line and kick things off for us here in the final group of qualifying. And here is Oliver Eppinger coming to the line to kick things off for, again, our final group of qualifying. Lights are illuminating. And Oliver Eppinger is off for his first run here in the final round. Returning back in the Supra, and a big snappy initiation from him as he fills outside zone 2, super deep in it. 3 nicely done as well around that inside clip. Good transition for 4 as he works his way down to outside zone 5, now adding the angle, trying to get that car to drive in for the inside clip, maybe along that first hash, but nicely done for the next outside zone. So he continues on, last transition here on a good line. He'll work his way out to the outside zone, track edge, leave it just a little bit, and cross the finish line.
Oliver Eppinger coming out swinging for group number 5. 94.5 on the board for run number 1. As we have Mustafa Amine next, another driver with another wonderful sounding rotary engine in the RX-8. I was almost worried. He said he was driving home earlier, and I was like, I hope he makes it. And he did! Mustafa Amine off to a quick start, initiates in through outer zone 1, and it is fast up the hill along that white line to outer zone 2, now into outer zone 3. Off the limiter on that rotary as he comes through outer zone 4 into 5. I almost don't want to talk, it just sounds so good. Coming through the inside clip into outer zone 6. Mustafa putting the car exactly where it needs to be. One last outer zone to go. Puts it on the white line. This looks like a pretty decent score coming up for Mustafa.
Yeah, I think so. And just hammered down all the way through that entire run. So we wait on those scores to come through. 96.5 on the board for Mustafa. We've got Vladislav Yakulovic at the line, ready to go through the chicane for his first run of the day. Turning back in, the BMW looking good through turn 1, locked into the line here, and the angle adding a little bit for outside zone 3, working his way around that inside clip. Good smooth transition to start those off around that inside clip. Second transition nicely done as well, right on that yellow line as he continues on. Last and final one here, a little bit wide of the inside clip along that reference point and out to the final outside zone and across that finish line, Yakulovic.
Yeah, Yakulovic having a great first run as well. Seems like Group 5 is a little more limbered up than the rest of the groups here. 96 on the board for the first run. Now, for the S2000 is Stephen Hatcher, fellow Canadian. Great to see him at all of our events. Let's see what Stephen can lay down for run number 1. Initiating in with the S2000. Lots of angle off the initiation through outer zone 1. Makes it all the way out to outer zone 2. And grabbing outer zone 3. A little bit of a connection issue there on my end. As he comes through the inside clip down into outer zone 4. Now into 5. Really far inside. Oh, he has to make a huge correction off of that inside clip to not ruin the run. And quickly back online to where he needs to be, but that is definitely going to hurt his score as he comes into outer zone 8 now. The rest of the run looked great, but that mistake going to hurt him.
Yeah, unfortunate to see around that second inside clip. Quite the hiccup there, but he's got a second run to clean things up. Because, yeah, I think that would have been a super strong score. 79.2 on the board for Stephen Hatcher. We're going to only have just a couple of drivers not make it into the last 16 battles. Olivier, lights have been illuminated, and he is off for his first run here in the final round of qualifying. Initiating in, leaves outside zone 1 a little bit early, utilizing that left foot brake to fill outside zone 2 and all the way to the edge for outside zone 3. Good transition for 4 as he works his way down into 5 now. And around inside clip 2, really tight to it as well. Good transition going just a little bit wide of the yellow line there. And the zone on the ground. Great transition, but working his way out to the outside a little bit too soon. We see him go over that track edge, but he does finish out the run and put some points on the board.
We'll get some points indeed. A 92.8 for Olivier's first run. As we move over to Russell Jones in the GR86. Russell Jones, our final driver for Group 5, but this is only the first set of qualifying. Still one more round to come. As he comes through outer zone 3 down into that inside clip, transitioning for outer zone 4. Almost thought he was going to go right into the wall there, but he holds it together. Coming through that inside clip, transitioning through outer zone 6. Russell Jones looking dialed in here, making the transition happen. Following that nice line into outer zone 8. And a very good run from Russell Jones.
Yeah, Russell Jones showing off there for his first run of qualifying. That's going to be it for the first runs here in Group 5. We're back around to the start. Oliver Eppinger back at the line, 94.5 is what he currently has on the board as we see him there. 22nd position. Going for his second run now. Big initiation in. As he works his way out to outside zone 2 now. And 3 could have been a little bit deeper on 3 around the inside clip now. Good transition for 4 though, and a good line down to 5. Around the inside clip, nice and tight to it. Good transition for 6 as well, down the little hill now. Could have been a little bit deeper on 7. That's some final transition. Works his way out to the final outside zone now. Leaving it just a little early again. Oliver Eppinger, 94.5, trying to better it. We'll have to see from those judges.
As we wait for Oliver's score to come in, a 94.8, so just beating,
My goodness,
his previous score of a 94.5. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. But sitting on a 96.5 and having an absolutely insane first run, this man here, Mustafa Amine, ready to go for run number 2 as he gets on throttle and heads towards initiation through outer zone 1. Lots of angle through outer zone 1 into outer zone 2, drawing a good line. Can he hold it through outer zone 3 right to the white line and into that inside clip? Mustafa Amine on a mission here today. Getting through that inside clip nice and tight through outer zone 6. Maybe a little wide through 6, but making up for it in outer zone 7. And Mustafa just on a rampage here. Driving off of outer zone 8 just a little early, but that might be enough to improve on that 96.
Yeah, it just might be. I don't know who told him more throttle, but he certainly gave more throttle through that run. 96.3. He falls just a little bit shy of his first run. Vladislav Yakulovic up next, currently sitting on his 96. Lights have been illuminated and through that chicane off for his second run here. Last run of the season for Vladislav and all of these drivers here in qualifying, or for qualifying, filling outside zone 3 around that inside clip. Nice and tight to it. Snappy transition for outside zone 4, filling 5 as well as he works his way around that next inside clip. Good transition, a little bit track right, almost out to that rumble strip, and then across that inside clip, working his way out to the last and final outside zone, now finishing out his run strong.
Yeah, Vladislav there coming out swinging. Run number 2, improves on his score of the 96 and ends up with a 96.3. But now someone that really needs to improve here in group number 5 and has one shot to do it, sitting on a 79.2 after a big mistake into the second inside clip. Steven Hatcher initiating in, looking good through outer zone 1 as he pushes up towards outer zone 2. Drawing a good line through outer zone 3 down to that inside clip. Makes the transition look smooth through outer zone 4 and 5. This is where the mistake happened. No mistake this time around. Nice and tight to that inside clip through outer zone 6 and beautifully done through 7. One last transition to go. Again, tight to that inside clip, but a little bit of a bobble, adjusting for outer zone 8, but gets through the run clean, and that is definitely going to improve the 79.2.
Yeah, I think so. Nicely done from Steven Hatcher there, and a strong score on the board. 94.5 for Steven Hatcher. With the pressure on, he needed to get a better score. He was outside of those 44 drivers that will make it into battles today. Olivier up next for his final run. 92.8 that he currently has on the board as he initiates in and fills outside zone 1 nicely, working his way to 2 and filling it 3 as well, all the way out to that white line we see there. Track edge, good transition across, maybe a little bit deep there as he continues on now, driving that car in for the inside clip, holding that inside a little bit long. We see him there all the way out to that rumble strip, and then filling that zone down the little hill. Last and final transition for the last turn here. Dropping over that track edge just a little bit, but staying off the wall, crossing the finish line.
Well, Olivier finishing out the second run on a 95.2, improving on that 92.8. And we come down to the last run of qualifying for the season. Russell Jones sitting on 95.2 in the GR86, gets out of the gate and comes to give us a finish. Initiating in, could have been a little deeper into outer zone 1, had to make a correction to get all the way out to outer zone 2. Makes it through outer zone 3 now through that inside clip. A little late on that transition into outer zone 4, puts him a bit wide for outer zone 5. Can he make up for it through the inside clip? He does. Grabs it nicely, makes the transition happen for 6. This could put him back on the line he was hunting for as he makes that final transition through the inside clip and now pushes out to outer zone 8 and holds a nice angle all the way around outer zone 8.
Yeah, not too bad from Russell Jones. Will it be enough to better the 95.2 though? I'm not so sure. It's going to be close. No, he does fall just shy of it. 92 on the board for Russell Jones, and finish out again, qualifying for the final round here at the Drift Mansion. And we've got some strong scores on the board indeed. Ethan will finish number 1 position for qualifying at 98.3 on that board. Ernestas 98.3 as well, but that tiebreaker coming into play and putting Ethan in that number 1 position. Zach O'Sullivan with his 97.3 on the board to round out our top 3 qualifiers again here in the final round at the Drift Mansion. And it looks like we're only going to have just one driver that showed up today not make it into battles. Kazuki Fukushi unfortunately falling short with his 84 on the board. So the cutoff today for battles, Riley So Bush, is what it looks like, 88.7. Again, the top 28 drivers are locked in to that top 32, and the remaining 29 through 44, 16 drivers will battle it out for those last 4 positions in the top 32. Again, coming up next, we'll take a short break. We'll sort the bracket out, get that all situated, get the server situated for these battles coming up, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back again with really, I guess you could call it some more qualifying, but this time in battle format. The last 16 qualifying battles are about to be underway. If you're just now joining us, here is today's line map with the start of the course at the top right-hand side of your screen with a big decel initiation, huge flick. Really a hop and a skip, and clip 1, your first outside zone, 3 outside zones around that first turn down to your first inside clip for clip 4, transitioning into 5 and out to 6. Your next off throttle moment there into clip 8, your outside zone there, down the small hill for clip 9. Last and final transition around that inside clip for clip 10, and then clip 11, last and final outside zone of the course. Nice little banked turn there, and again, just wonderful version of this awesome venue. You can get the track now if you'd like, but it does not come with the layout just yet. An update will come along, but again, get ahead and go ahead and get the track if you haven't already. You're interested in staying here as well, check out the website. You can book a stay here at really this Airbnb. Wonderful place to vacation with the homies. Lots of things to do here at this, again, wonderful venue. And it looks like we have our first drivers coming up to the line. Linus and Riley. So Bush, again, our first battle here in the last 16.
Yeah, the last 16 for the last time. Oh, it's weird saying that. Linus in the lead lane in the Toyota Supra, his first time here doing competition up against Riley Sobush in that chase lane in the S15. The lights go on and underway for the last 16 battles. A big punt there from the chase position, and almost bullying him up the hill is Riley Sobush in that chase lane. Gotta calm it down just a little bit as they come down the hill into outer zone 5 and 6. Linus is drawing a good lead here, but Riley just keeps putting that door on him, keep putting to the fender and pushing him around this course as they come through outer zone 6 and 7. One last transition, one last outer zone. Linus stays out front, right along the door, and not leaving it though is Riley Sobush.
Yeah, holy moly, what a way to start the last 16 battles. We'll take a look on the replay here. Linus out front in the Supra, hopping a skip into outside zone 1 and out to 2, going over that track edge just a little bit. We see a little understeer watch from Riley in that chase through the outside zone 2, and then a little bit of contact there on the first transition. Again, sacrificing some angle, lots of angle in that chase position, almost driving straight into the door of Linus, but they continue on through the course. Last and final transition there with Linus out front. They work their way out to this last and final outside zone. Nicely done, and across the finish line.
Well, back around at the start gate and ready to do battle once more. Riley now in the lead. Linus ready to chase him down. Hopefully the second half of the battle is a little cleaner as they get through the gate clean and initiate in. Riley, the good initiation. Linus doing a good job to stick right with him as they come up over the hill to outer zone 2 and towards outer zone 3. Riley putting on that pressure early and leaving enough room for the transition as well. Down into outer zone 5, dropping a bit of tire, was the lead driver of Riley. But Linus in that chase doing a great job just to keep that car exactly where it needs to be, right in the pocket, and making sure that pressure is applied. They one last transition towards outer zone 8 they go, and they finish out side by side.
Yeah, nicely done with both of these drivers here again in the last 16. Riley Sobush out front here on the replay. Good initiation in, maybe driving off outside zone 1 a little bit early, but fills outside zone 2 and 3. But Linus there with him in the pocket. Good transition right along the bumper of Riley. They continue on filling outside zone 5. Riley maybe going a little bit wide of it. Good second transition, filling that outside zone. Riley on a good lead now, but Linus still right there with him along the bumper through that last and final transition up to the last outside zone across that finish line. finishing out again their last 16 qualifying battles. Linus on the left, Riley Bush on the right. Winner moves on into the last 8. And there it is, Linus getting the win. Unanimous decision over Riley Bush, but fantastic battle between these two.
Yeah, and a good job from Linus, you know, first battle, and he moves on. So hopefully we see him later today, but we got to see who he's up against first. Reese Tatterson versus Eduardo Alves. Reese in that Z33. Yeah, 34? I can't remember anymore. 370Z. And then Eduardo Alves in his S15. The lights go on and they're ready to go. Someone will correct me in chat. I'll see it here in a little bit. Down the straight, initiating in a big hit, it looked like, from the chase positioner. Maybe it was just him hitting the bump in the road for outer zone 1, but they come through outer zone 2 and 3. Good pressure applied from Eduardo in the chase as they come through outer zone 4. Reese Tatterson out front doing a good job in the lead, but Eduardo is not leaving the door as they leave a lot of room there for the transition into outer zone 6, but quickly regaining the proximity was Eduardo Alves. They come through that inside clip and head towards outer zone 8, and that'll finish out run number 1 of this battle.
Yeah, let's take another look at it on the replay here. Reese Tatterson out front leading Eduardo through this fantastic course. Good initiation from Reese, going maybe a little bit wide for outside zone 1, filling 2 all the way out there, about as far as he can be, working his way around that inside clip. But Eduardo in that chase position, nicely done, diving in for outside zone 5 there. Second transition of the course, another dive from Eduardo, trying to stay close to Reese out front. Reese just on a banger of a lead run here, right along that reference point out to the final outside zone. You see a little bit of angle being sacrificed in that chase position, but they finish out the first half of their battle.
Well, background at the start gate, ready to go. Eduardo Alves now in the lead. Reese Tatterson ready to chase him down as the lights go on in the second half. This battle's underway. A flying start from Eduardo out front, but Reese right there with him as he comes through. A big bobble for Reese in that chase position as they come through outer zone 2, but now through outer zone 3. It's nice and clean and side by side. Reese really applying that pressure right along the door through outer zone 5 into that inside clip. A little bit of a tap there from the chase of Reese Tatterson to Eduardo Alves in that lead as they come through outer zone 7. They make the final transition. One last push here. Reese Tatterson wants this win and keeps it on the door of Eduardo all through outer zone 8.
Yeah, he certainly did. We'll take another look at it here. Eduardo out front this time in the second half of their battle. Reese chasing him down. Eduardo getting out to a good lead, but going super wide for outside zone 1, almost getting a piece of the wall and ending the run early, but he continues on with Reese right there in the pocket. Good transition right along the bumper and then right along the door through outside zone 5, giving him a little shove and maybe not allowing Eduardo to grab that inside clip, but they continue on anyway, filling outside zone 7 now. Good transition across, pouring on the speed now into the last and final outside zone, and another maybe a little shove there from Reese Tatterson in the chase, and we go to our judges. Reese Tatterson on the left, Eduardo Alves on the right. Winner moves on into the last 8. And there it is, unanimous decision. Reese Tatterson does get the win over Eduardo Alves, but a fantastic battle between these two.
An absolute fantastic battle indeed, as we are ready to go with the next of the last 16 battles. Christian Petrov in the lead lane in the S15, being chased down by the wide body S15 of Carlos Diogo. The lights go on and this last 16 battle is underway. Down the straight, initiating and right along the bumper is Carlos Diogo. Was that too close? Did that upset Christian Petrov coming into outer zone 1 and 2? He finds his footing and keeps on the throttle as Diogo is all over Christian Petrov. pushing him down towards outer zone 5, leaving some room now, hopefully, for the transition into outer zone 6. Wide goes Christian Petrov through outer zone 6. Diogo touching that door once more along the transition, trying to almost push him through the course as they come through outer zone 8 and finish out the run.
Yeah, an exciting battle between these two again here in the last 16. Christian Petrov out front this time, leading Carlos Diogo through the replay of the first half of the battle. And we see there a huge angle correction from Christian Petrov out front, a couple of small ones there around outside zone 3, and maybe a little bit too tight to the inside clip. There we see Carlos almost shoving him around the course into outside zone 5. They make their second transition. We see Christian grab a piece of the wall just a little bit at that outside zone. Last and final turn here as they work their way through up into the last and final outside zone. Carlos Diogo right there with him across the finish line.
Well, now back at the line, ready for the second half of their battle and who will fill the next spot in the last 8. Carlos Diogo now in the lead lane. Christian Petrov ready to chase him down. They initiate into outer zone 1. Good initiation from Carlos Diogo. Christian Petrov not quite there though through outer zone 1, 2, and 3. He's got to close that gap and really start to get in the pocket and apply that pressure onto Carlos Diogo as they come through outer zone 5 now into that inside clip. Christian Petrov now back in the fight. Maybe a little leg spike there. That causes Diogo to go super wide as they come through inside clip and towards outer zone 8. Now Christian Petrov all over him because Diogo is just right offline, and that'll be an interesting one for the judges to call.
Yeah, for sure. It looked like Carlos honestly had it in the bag there through turn 1. He does a really nice job for outside zone 1, 2, and 3 here as we see on the replay, getting ahead of Christian Petrov in that chase position. Christian now back into the fight along the bumper through that transition, makes a dive here into outside zone 5. They work their way around the inside clip, and then here we see maybe just transitioning a little bit too late and getting a piece of that wall. It really messes the line up. And then here another big correction heading into the last and final outside zone, and really makes him miss the entire zone completely. We'll go to our judges though. Christian Petrov on the left, Carlos Diogo on the right here in the last 16 qualifying battles. All right, so it looks like we have a split decision, but Christian Petrov will get the win. Ed and Matt choose Christian Petrov. Chris goes with Carlos Diogo, but that will be enough to give Christian the win, and we'll see him in the last 8.
Oh, a bit of a scrappy battle, but Christian Petrov moving on as we move on to our next battle. João Victor de Paula Silva in the S14 in the lead lane, up against Jordan El Nasser in the Dodge Viper. And there we go, the lights turn on and we're underway for this last 16 battle to see who will join Christian Petrov in the last 8. Joao out front, Jordan chasing as they come through outer zone 1 towards outer zone 2. Not as deep in outer zone 2 as Joao could be in that lead lane. And that gives Jordan the chance to really get back and fight back to try and get back on that door, get in the pocket, and apply that pressure onto Joao from that chase position. As they come through the inside clip and transition into outer zone 6, Joao's starting to look settled in his S14 now that they make the final transition. But Jordan all over him here and keeping that car exactly where it needs to be, keeping a good proximity as they finish out the run.
Yeah, nicely done here. We'll take another look. Joao out front, leading Jordan El Nasser and that Viper through the course here. Nicely done for turn 1, but comes up a little bit shallow of outside zone 2. Does grab that track edge just a little bit out front for outside zone 3. Nice and snappy on that first transition, and Jordan making a big dive there in that chase. As they make their second transition now, Jordan falling back just a little bit and reels him back in through that third turn as they transition into the last and final one, working their way out to the outside zone, and there they go across that finish line. I think pretty even heading into the second half of their battle.
Yeah, it's still anyone's battle here in the second half. Jordan El Nasser now in the lead. Joao ready to chase him down. The lights go on and off they go. Jordan with a speedy start, but Joao keep it right there with him as Jordan misses out on outer zone 1 off the initiation. Maybe getting a little too excited in that lead position as the chase of Joao sticking right there with them as they come through outer zone 4 into 5. Joao keeping a nice proximity to Jordan, putting the car where it needs to be, not quite on the door, but not far back enough that it won't matter as they come through outer zone 7 and make the final transition into outer zone 8. A little bobble from the chase there coming into outer zone 8, but Joao regains the proximity and they finish out door to door.
Yeah, they sure do. Let's take another look on the replay. Jordan El Nasser out front in that Viper, and okay initiation, but not filling outside zone 1 really at all. It does fill outside zone 3 though as they continue on nice and tight to that inside clip. Good transition for 4, working his way through 5 now with Joao on his door right there with him and along the bumper. Maybe a little bit better than Jordan and reels him in, maybe about the same, but Jordan maybe not on the best line there through that third turn as they work their way through the last one. Now we see Jordan get all the way up to that track edge, but then leave it quite early, and across that finish line we go to our judges here. Silva on the left, Nasser on the right, and the judges are sliding quickly. It is a unanimous decision. Joao Victor de Paula Silva gets the win over Jordan El Nasser, and we'll see him in the last 8. It was wonderful having Jordan with us throughout the seasons, and hopefully we'll see him back again next season. And here is that last 16 qualifying bracket, and the left hand side of it completed. Linus and Reese will face off later on. Christian and Joao also making it through into the last 8. But up next, Stanislav Terasol and Simon Sandman, Victor Alves and Lazam Asau, Danielis Barangauskas and William Holloway, Augusto Ferrera and Austin Meeks coming up next here in the last 16. Drivers just taking their last little bit of practice runs there on the right-hand side of the bracket. Again, up next, Stanislav Terasol and Simon Sandman. Should be a fun battle between the two. We already saw one of the brand newcomers make it through to the last 8. And Simon Sandman do the same here against Stanislav Terasol in that Ferrari.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do here. Stanislav Terasol in the Ferrari in the lead lane, being chased down by the newcomer Simon Sandman in the S15 in the chase lane. The lights go on and off they go for this last 16 battle. Stanislav initiates in. Sandman right there with him, gives him a little tap as they come through outer zone 1. That's going to put him into the wall. He's going to try and correct it, and Stanislav manages to keep it together after that hit from Sandman in the rear, putting him right into the wall. I don't know how they saved that, but Sandman is on the attack here. He is just keeping it glued to the door of Stanislav Terasol as they come through outer zone 6, 7, and now do the final transition for outer zone 8. Stanislav right there in the pocket, or sorry, the lead chase right in the pocket of Stanislav as they cross that finish line.
Yeah, we'll take another look at it here on the replay. Stanislav Terasol out front, Simon Sandman chasing him down. And a good initiation, lots of angle from Stanislav. He does pull out of it a little bit, but there, gets into the wall, and Simon Sandman saves the day, keeps the run going with the contact as they continue on into outside zone 5 now with Simon Sandman, again, just applying a ton of pressure right there along the bumper through that second transition of the course. And down along the bumper once more for the final one as they work their way into the last outside zone now. And there they go across that finish line for the first half of their last 16 battle.
Well, now it's time for Simon's lead run, and his first lead run here in the Virtual Drift Championship up against Vladislav Terasol, but looks like we're going to have a restart there. So if you weren't already nervous for your first lead run, how about a restart in the mix? The lights go on and off they go properly this time. Down the straight they come. Initiating in is Sandman in the lead. Right with him is Terasol trying to close that gap through outer zone 2. He gets on the door now through outer zone 3, and he ain't leaving through that inside clip. Leaves just enough room for the transition as they come into outer zone 5. And look at the proximity from Terasol in that chase. Right there all over Sandman as they come through outer zone 7. But Simon doing a good job out front here so far as they come through that final outer zone now. Stanislav right on the fender as they cross that finish line.
Yeah, really nicely done here as we go back to that replay. Simon Sandman out front picking up that throttle for outside zone 1, filling 2 with Stanislav right there in that chase position right along the door of the wheel and through that inside clip. Nicely done along the bumper there through that transition from Stanislav in this chase position. But Simon Sandman locked into this lead run. Nice and smooth transition right along that yellow line, maybe going over it just a tiny bit. Last and final transition, picking up that inside clip right along the reference point and then working out to the outside beautifully and across that finish line. So a lot of pressure from that chase position for sure, but super clean out front. Stanislav Terasol on the left, Simon Sandman on the right. Winner moves on into the last 8, a closer chance into the top 32 later today. And we've got judges moving left. Stanislav Terasol moving on, getting the win over Simon Sandman. Coming down to the contact in that first run, Simon giving that little bit of contact and putting Stanislav into the wall just a little bit, but then again saving the day and keeping things going.
We'll give that one to Simon for his first battle, but we'll see him next season or hopefully a full season, as we move on to our next last 16 battle, Victor Alves versus Lizam Izao. Victor Alves off to a speedy start out of the gate through outer zone 1, leaving Lizam behind quite a bit. Lizam having to take a shallower line to try and regain that proximity through outer zone 2 and 3. Now that they're coming through the inside clip and making that transition, Lizam is back in the pocket where he needs to be, as Victor Alves out front, just dancing around in that S15, but missing out completely on outer zone 7 as they come through the inside clip in the final transition towards outer zone 8. Lizam not giving up any breathing room after that falter at the start.
Yeah, let's take another look at it here. As you pointed out, just Victor getting off to a fantastic start there through the chicane. Maybe Lizam missing a gear or something, and super deep for outside zone 1, even over that track edge line. Using a little bit of left foot brake to try and fill outside zone 2 a little bit more. Does a good job with 3, and then Lizam back into the fight there, making a dive into outside zone 5. They're at the bottom of the small hill. Victor working his way around the course now, filling that next outside zone, but a big hiccup there for outside zone 7, and then making the final transition, working his way out to the last outside zone now with Lizam right there along the door and across that finish line. Will flip him around for the second half.
Well, flipped around indeed. Lizam Izao now in the lead, and Victor Alves ready to chase him down as the lights go on, and off they go. Not as speedy as a start for Lizam. Victor right there off of the initiation as they come through outer zone 2 and push towards outer zone 3. Victor Alves trying to get that car as close as possible to the lead as they come through outer zone 4 into outer zone 5. And now right wheel to wheel through that inside clip, leaving some room for the transition. Lizam out front grabs outer zone 7, doesn't miss it like Victor did in his lead. Transitioning now to head towards outer zone 8. Victor Alves not as close this time around as Lizam maybe was for that finish.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take a second look here. Lizam again out front in the second half of their last 16 battle. Victor chasing him down, and a little bit better job there in that chase position through the initiation. He stayed with him during the run up and stays with him through turn 1 nicely. Both of them using that left foot brake quite a bit through turn 1 down to outside zone 5. Victor again right there in that chase position where he needs to be. Good transition into that outside zone as well. Back down the small hill, up over the little hump. Victor dropping back for the transition, reeling him back in quickly. And yeah, I think staying with him maybe a little bit better there through that last and final outside zone. But we go to our judges. Victor Alves on the left, Lizam Izao on the right. And there we go. Victor Alves does get the win unanimously from all 3 of those judges, and we'll see him in the last 8. But again, wonderful having Lizam with us each and every season. We hope to see him back again.
Couldn't have said it better myself, as we have our next battle slowly crawling to the line. There we go. We kind of found the clutch a little bit, maybe a gear. Danilius Pangalis in the lead lane in the BMW, up against William Holloway in that FDRX7. Two spots remain in the last 8. Who will take the first of the 2? Danilius out to a fast start, but William Holloway right there with him as they come through outer zone 1 on that initiation through outer zone 2. William almost bullying Danilius through outer zone 3. He wants to get closer, but he has to keep backing out of it as they come through outer zone 4 and 5 now. William all over the door of Danilius in that lead lane as they transition into outer zone 6. Looking further to that inside is the chase once more as they come through the final transition. Almost thought some contact was going to be made there from William in that chase, but lots of aggression out of the chase car.
Yeah, certainly was. Let's take another look here. Pangalis out front. Good initiation, maybe dropping over that track edge just a little bit, but again, just teeny tiny little deduction. He works his way through outside zone 3 now. William trying to get closer and closer, and he does here for outside zone 5, right along with him through the next inside clip as well, and drops back for that transition, lets it happen, and then right back into it with Pangalis out front on a good lead run here. Gets away from William quite a bit, but William surges back up in that chase position, and there they go, finishing out the first half of their battle.
Well, now back around at the start, ready for the second half of their battle to see who's going to take one of those 2 remaining spots. William Holloway now in the lead. Danielius ready to chase him down. The lights go on and off they go, lighting up the tires all the way down the straight, initiating in, looking good through outer zone 1 for William Holloway in the lead. Danielius sticking right there with them through outer zone 1 and 2, applying that pressure from the chase as they come and transition down the hill. William Holloway wants to move on. Danielius wants to move on, but only one can move on as they come through the inside clip and transition to outer zone 6. Danielius all over William Holloway now through outer zone 7 as they make the final transition and line themselves up for outer zone 8. This is going to be a fun one for the judges here today.
Yeah, I think pretty evenly matched here as we take another look. William Holloway out front initiating in, and nicely done for outside zone 1, 2 as well. Danielius trying to reel him in, sacrifices a little bit of angle there heading into outside zone 3, and then making a dive down the small hill there. Pangalis in that chase position. William out front going maybe just a little wide of that second inside clip. Good transition across and then filling outside zone 7 there, but a little bit tight to that left hand side rumble strip was William out front. They continue on though, filling the last and final outside zone, and across that finish line we will go to our judges here. Danielius, Pangalis on the left, William Holloway on the right. Winner moves on again into the last 8, closer to heading into the top 32. Last 4 drivers from this bracket will filter in to those 29th, 30, 31, and 32 positions. And look at there, we have it one more time. Matt goes for Pangalis, but Chris and Ed choose a one more time, so we will line them back up.
So one more time from the judges here in the last 16 qualifying battles for the final time of the Virtual Drift Championships. So Danielius, Pangalis now back in the lead lane. William Holloway ready to chase him down for this one more time battle. The lights go on and off they go. No restart needed. Danielius out to a good start. William Holloway right there with him through outer zone 1. Holding a good line through outer zone 2 as well. Keeping that pressure onto the lead. Backing off just a little bit for the transition down to outer zone 4 and 5. But William Holloway keeping that car right in the pocket to keep that aggression on as they come through and transition through outer zone 6 and 7. William Holloway on the attack, but a big mistake not leaving enough room for the transition from the chase of William as they come through that final outer zone and finish out the run.
Yeah, let's take a second look here. Pangalis out front, William Holloway chasing him down and doing a good job through majority of the course until what you pointed out there in the latter half. Pangalis filling these outside zones through turn 1, grabbing that inside clip nicely. William following back quite a bit, but then makes a huge surge there before outside zone 5, and a good transition, much better from William I think this time around in that chase position. But then here, yep, stayed on that left hand side of the track just maybe a little bit too long, and really made his transition a bit too late in that chase position. It leads to a big gap, but we'll flip him around for the second half of their one more time battle.
And flipped around indeed. William Holloway now in the lead. Danelius ready to chase him down for the second half of this one more time battle to see who takes one of the last 2 spots remaining in the last 8 off the initiation. William Holloway with lots of angle, had to pull out of it just a little bit for outer zone 2. Danelius catching right back up and starting to apply that pressure as they come out of outer zone 3 down and transition for outer zone 4 and 5. Danelius all over the door now through outer zone 5 into that inside clip now for outer zone 6. Leaves the room for the transition, but they come through 7. Danelius is on the attack. William Holloway with a great lead run out front, but Danelius just applying that pressure and keeping it door to door across the line.
Yeah, he certainly did, and we'll take another look here. William Holloway out front this time. Again, one more time battle, the second half of it. Pangalis throwing it in with him, but maybe over angling in that chase position just a little bit. We see a small correction from William out front for outside zone 2, and now Pangalis right into the fight and really close to the wall there on that first transition in that chase position, giving William maybe a little bit of nudge there heading into inside clip 2. William nicely done for those 2 outside zones. Now a little bit better through that section of the course as well, nice and tight to the inside clip, working out to the final outside zone. Could have been a little bit deeper there, but Pangalis pushing him across the line. And we go to our judges here. Pangalis on the left, William Holloway on the right. And quickly, those judges are sliding left for Pangalis. He gets the win over William Holloway. But again, William doing a fantastic job here in the final round in this season. Much better out of him, and I'm excited for what he has in store for next season.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It was a great time, and now only 1 spot remains in the last 8. Augusto Ferrera versus Austin Meeks. Augusto in the lead, Austin chasing him down. The lights go on. Who will go to see Danelius in the last 8? Initiating in is Augusto Ferrera, looking good off that initiation. Austin Meeks falling behind off the initiation through outer zone 1, starting to regain that proximity now that they're coming through outer zone 3, through the inside clip and down towards outer zone 4 and 5. Another gap established through the transitions. Meeks just can't hang with those speedy transitions of Augusto Ferrera. Diving deep down the inside is Austin Meeks, trying to regain the proximity that he's losing. But I don't think it'll be enough as they come through outer zone 8 now. Meeks trying to get on the door, but I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, let's take a second look at it here. Ferrera out front leading Austin Meeks through the course here. BMW on BMW action and a huge gap into turn 1. Augusto out front. Nicely done for turn 1, but could have been a little bit deeper for outside zone 3, and then a little bit too tight to the inside clip as well. Nicely done for 5, but struggles to get that car back to the inside for that second inside clip. Filling that next zone nicely as we see Austin have a moment there through that second transition of the course, trying to reel Augusto back in now in that chase position. Augusto all the way out there to track edge, and they finish out the first half of their battle.
Well, time to see who moves on. The second half of the battle is at the line and ready to go. Austin Meeks now leading. Augusto Ferrera ready to chase him down as the lights go on and off they go. Augusto getting a really good launch there and almost having to back off to make sure he can stay with Austin Meeks through outer zone 1 and 2. Austin not on the greatest of lead runs, so Augusto had to back out of it and now comes back to fight Austin Meeks. Austin Meeks getting pushed by Augusto Ferrera in that chase through outer zone 5. Now they come through outer zone 6. Augusto wanting to get closer, but just maybe a little worried of the lead of Austin Meeks here as they come through the final outer zone. Augusto puts it on the door and they finish out the run.
Yeah, lots of moments there in that second half of the battle. We'll take another look. Augusto again almost out ahead of Austin Meeks through the run-up, drops back And then we see a small correction from Austin, not quite filling outside zone 2. Does a better job with 3, but then wide for the inside clip. That makes this transition there maybe a little bit late, but then too much angle, and it really shallows him up, and he's not able to fill that next outside zone 5. A little bit better job on 6 and 7. Right there along that track edge. Good transition, picking up that inside clip and then working out to the outside. But we see there he goes a little bit over it, and there across the finish line. And we go to our judges between these two. Augusto Ferrera on the left, Austin Meeks on the right. Winner moves on again into the last 8. And there it is. Augusto Ferrera gets the win over Austin Meeks. Fun battle between those two. And we hope to see Austin Meeks back again next season. But there it is, the last 16 battles. That 16 is done and over. Linus getting the win. Reese as well, and they'll battle each other next. Christian Petrov and Joao Victor de Paula Silva. Stanislav Terasol and Victor Alves, Danielis Pangalis, and Augusto Ferrera all up next in the last 8 battles. Looks like our next set of drivers are ready to go at the line. Linus Tornquist and Reese Tatterson.
Yeah, at the line and ready to go. Linus hoping to make his way into the main competition later today in that lead lane, but Reese Tatterson, new school versus old school. Let's see what happens. Initiates in, looking good off the initiation. Reese already all over the door though through outer zone 2 as they head towards outer zone 3, and now making their way down towards outer zone 4. A good lead run here from the newcomer of Linus, but Reese Tatterson all over the door of Linus as they come through outer zone 7 now, make the final transition. Reese Tatterson trying his hardest to keep it right there along the door of Linus, and what a run for that first battle.
Yeah, it certainly was. We'll take another look here. Linus out front, Reese Tatterson giving chase, and a good initiation. Nicely done from Linus out front, filling outside zone 1, but not quite filling outside zone 2 and 3. Could have been a little bit deeper. We want to see him on that white line. Good transition across, and we see a little moment from Reese there in that chase position, really sacrificing a lot of angle to get back into the fight, but he got back into the fight indeed and stays there as they continue on down the little hill now, up over the little hump with Reese right along the bumper through the transition and right back onto the door of Linus, and there they go across the finish line.
Well, back around at the start, they're ready to go for the second half of their battle. Reese Tatterson will now lead. Linus will chase him down. Initiating in, looking good, but Linus right there along the door through outer zone 1. Outer zone 2, Linus backs out of it just a little bit, allowing Reese a little bit of room, but quickly catches up through outer zone 3. They make the transition down to outer zone 4 and 5. And look at that, Linus door to door with Reese Tatterson, backs off just a little early to allow room for that transition, and now trying to attack Reese Tatterson once more, even giving him a little nudge as they come through that inside clip and down towards outer zone 8. They're wheel to wheel through outer zone 8 and across the line.
Yeah, let's go back to that replay with Reese out front in the second half of their battle. Reese initiating in, filling outside zone 1 completely, but did make quite the decel there and maybe leads to quite the gap. Reese going super deep for those 2 outside zones. Nicely done on the transition and all the way out to that track edge, but look at Linus applying the pressure back there in his Supra along the door once more for outside zone 6. Staying with him through 7. Nicely done from Reese on a good line there. Makes that transition right along that reference point, filling outside zone all the way around. And we go to our judges here in the last 8. Linus on the left, Reese Tatterson on the right. Winner moves on into the top 32. And look at there, Reese Tatterson gets the win over Linus Tornquist. And we'll see Reese in the top 32 after qualifying 36 today.
So Reese Tatterson moving on and grabbing one of the 4 spots that remain. As we move on to our next battle, Christian Petrov and Joao Victor de Paula Silva. Christian in the S15 in the lead lane. And then in the S14 is Joao, ready to chase him down. The lights go on and this battle is underway. Down the straight they go. Christian Petrov initiates in right along the bumper, almost not leaving enough room was Joao as they come through outer zone 1 through outer zone 2, and a big hit from Joao putting Christian Petrov into the wall and ending the first half of this battle.
Yeah, that was quite the hit. And now we know Christian has been struggling a little bit with his internet connection today. We'll go back to the replay, see what we can see here. Saving it a little early, so we'll watch him here at the line just for a couple of extra seconds here. Again, on the replay. There goes the lights illuminated. And they are off again. The first half of their battle, Christian initiating in and a nicely done job. I mean, he picks up throttle when he should. A couple of moments there, and then yeah, like just a huge surge in that chase position is initially what it looks like. But again, we know Christian has been struggling with that internet connection today. So we'll let those judges go back and analyze that a little bit more, but we'll send them on for their second half of their battle.
The second half of the battle, the lights are on and already underway. Joao now out front. Christian ready to chase him down as they initiate into outer zone 1, and a big gap established through outer zone 1 and 2. Christian Petrov having to play catch up a little bit there as they come through that inside clip down to outer zone 4. Christian falling back once again, trying his hardest to get into the pocket of Joao as they transition into outer zone 6 and 7. Joao still out front, but Christian managing to catch back up, but then backs right out of it for the transition, and that's going to give Joao a huge lead here across the line.
Yeah, let's take a second look here on this replay of the second half of their battle. Silva out front, Petrov in that chase position, and we've got a full run this time. Good initiation from Silva out front, filling those 2 outside zones, and now working his way to outside zone 3 with a little bit of gap in between those 2 cars. Nicely done for the transition as well. We see quite the moment from Christian Petrov in that chase position, making a huge dive on the inside there, quite a bit offline, almost getting into the wall there for outside zone 6 as well, and then falls back once more in that chase position, maybe trying to play it safe there after that contact. But again, I think that contact could really go the other way. We'll let those judges take their time and analyze that replay. Or we already have a decision. There we go. To the left, Christian Petrov gets the win over Joao Victor de Paula Silva. What a good first season for Silva, and I hope to see him back again for season 9.
Wow, season 9 already.
9. Sorry.
Christian Petrov moving on to fill one of the 3 spots that were remaining, and now only 2 spots remaining between these gentlemen here, Stanislav Terasol and Victor Alves. Stanislav in the Ferrari, Victor Alves in the S15. Little leg spike on the line there for Victor Alves, so hopefully it doesn't affect him during the battle. Initiating in, Stanislav the great initiation. Victor Alves falling off a little bit through outer zone 2, but quickly catching up through outer zone 3 as they come through that inside clip down through outer zone 4. Now Victor Alves can start his attack run and get right up on the door of Stanislav as he leaves the room for the transition into outer zone 6, but quickly regains that proximity with Stanislav as they transition now for the final time in this run. And looking good, both drivers side by side when they cross that line.
Yeah, they certainly were. We'll take a second look at it here with Terasol out front and a huge gap established on the run-up. Just putting that grip down, but Victor closing the door quickly and then falling back once more in turn one, reels him back in for the inside clip, and Stanislav on a good line down to outside zone 5, working his way through that inside clip now with Victor right along the bumper through that next transition and staying with him through turn 3 here. Nice line down to the inside clip as well out front, Stanislav, and then Victor reeling him back in and staying with him through the last and final outside zone.
Well, I hate to ask this of you, Craig, but I'm going to need you to do this one. Mike.
Oh, yep, and there he goes. So Victor Alves out front and leaving outside zone 2 maybe a little bit too soon. He continues on, could have been deeper on 3 as well. Stanislav in that chase position, making a dive now down to outside zone 5, working their way through it, filling it all the way, grabbing that inside clip as well. Stanislav falls back for that transition and then reels him right back in through turn 3, sacrifice a little bit of angle back there in that chase, and then it looks like it pays off through the transition, right back up onto the door of Victor Alves, and they finish out their last 8 battle. We'll take a second look at it here. Victor again out front here on the replay. Nice skip, hop, and right to angle into that first outside zone. Again, could have been a little bit deeper there with Stanislav in that chase right where he should be, making a dive now through outside zone 5 and just locked into that pocket. Maybe a little contact there as well, falling back. Victor nicely done out front here in this lead position. Picking up that throttle, driving that car all the way out to that outside zone. Does get there maybe a little bit late, but we go to our judges and it looks like, nope, there they go, resetting back. Stanislav on the left, Victor Alves on the right. And there it is, unanimous decision. Stanislav gets the win over Victor Alves. That's one more spot heading to the top 32. A fantastic job from Victor Alves there, becoming a veteran here in the Virtual Drift Championship here recently, and love to have him back again next season. Here we go for our next battle, Pangalis, Augusto Ferrera. Our last battle here in the last 16. Daniel is working his way up to outside zone 2 and 3, filling it all the way, but we see a big correction in those front wheels out front from Pangalis. Ferrera deals with it nicely, continuing on, staying with him, but could be a little bit closer. We'd like to see him planted along that door, maybe playing it a little safe here. They make their last and final transition. We see another small bobble there out front from Pangalis, but filling that outside zone and across that finish line. So an interesting start to their last 8 battle here. We'll take a second look at it. Pangalis again out front. Ferrera chasing him down. Ferrera almost getting into the initiation a little late there in that chase position, maybe even a little bit of contact, but here, oh, okay, maybe we have a little bit of contact. It didn't look like they were close enough for it, but maybe a little bit of net code there from Augusto in that chase position, giving Pangalis quite the shove there in between outside zone 3 and that inside clip 1. They continue on though. There we see that minor correction out front from Pangalis. Augusto right there with him, crossing the finish line. They're lined up for the second half of their battle now. Again, our last and final battle here in these qualifying battles. It's been a fun, fantastic addition to the series. I think this year does maybe add a little bit of time to the event, but I think it is all worth it as Augusto throws that car in and looks good through turn 1 so far, filling outside zone 2. Pangalis trying to apply some pressure in that chase position. Little wavering on the angle back there. And then a huge dive from Pangalis in that chase position, staying with Augusto through turn 2 now into turn 3. Augusto nicely done for those 2 outside zones. Down the little hill now, up over the little hump. Could have been closer to that inside clip, but a good line heading into the last and final outside zone with Pangalis right there on his door. Fantastic job by both of these drivers. We'll take a second look at it here on the replay. Augusto out front. Pangalis giving chase. Good initiation from Augusto, locked in to turn 1 here. Very little wavering. I think it is really going to come down to that contact in the first half of their battle. Pangalis making that huge dive there. Falling back for the transition nicely, letting Augusto take that position, make it happen, fill those zones, and stay with him through the latter half of the course nicely. Nice and smooth from Pangalis, but Augusto out front as well. We'll go to our judges here. Danielis, Pangalis on the left, Augusto Ferrera on the right. Winner moves on into the top 32. It looks like we have a split call. It's up to Matt now, and it is going to be Pangalis getting the win over Augusto Ferrera. Chris did call for one more time. I think it's totally fair, but in the end, Pangalis gets that win, and that is going to do it for our last 16 qualifying battles. What a fun one it was here for the final round. Reese Tatterson, Stanislav Terasol, Christian Petrov, and Pangalis will all move on into that top 32. So Terasol will move into that 29th position. Pangalis will move into that 30th position. Christian Petrov will move into that 31st position, and Reese Tatterson will move into that 32nd position. Again, fantastic job from all of these drivers today. Only a couple of them not making it into the battles, but we've got our top 32 coming up later today. We'll take a break. We'll end this stream for qualifying, schedule our top 32 stream, and be right back with some more action here at the Drift Mansion. Huge shout out to our sponsors, Sim Magic, Extreme Sim Racing, Grip Roll, and Jokah Design. Ali Yusuf for putting his time in and coding all of this that you see with the bracket and some of these other graphics with the names on the screen so that everyone can follow along nicely. He's got a really good system, and we certainly appreciate the time he has put into putting that together and making it work. And then shout out to specifically Scott at Grip Roll and Jokah Design, letting us use this, again, fantastic version of the virtual Drift Mansion and editing it just a little bit. And really, again, this works as just an add-on for that bass track. If you want to go ahead and get the bass track and get driving on it now, if you don't already have it, click the link in the description of the live stream, go pick it up, grab it, and you know, throw some runs down, and eventually there will be an update, and we'll get this layout out to the public for everyone to enjoy and get it on our servers. But before that, we have our top 32 coming up later today. Again, we'll be back with a new stream. We'll shut this one down and appreciate everyone for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you back for the top 32.
Just like baby, I've been 24 with the likes of an AG. is used to be so stimulating.